Friends Are Everywhere podcast, where me and my co-host have a frank and light-hearted discussion with some of the people who've become our friends during our travels over the years. Hopefully this will provide an honest and sometimes enlightening insight into our lives as well as theirs, as we all just try to negotiate new and interesting cultures. And even if these insights aren't always forthcoming, we might be able to provide a humorous perspective to lives outside of our home countries. Stay with us and let's see.
Don't care about the breathing, man.
If
you need to breathe, breathe.
No breathing. Breathe. You're allowed to breathe. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, but I don't want it to be like,
yeah.
when I play PlayStation, my friends would be like, oh, I can hear you eating and breathing.
Yeah, no eating. No eating. You can breathe, but don't.
Yeah, but I don't want to sound like...
Yeah, whatever kinky shit you get up to on your PlayStation, don't do it here.
You're allowed to breathe. This podcast allows
you are allowed to breathe.
So
we do allow breathing.
We're good with breathing on the podcast. So this week we have a special guest on our podcast. My friends are everywhere. And who do we have this week? Can you introduce yourself?
I go by the name of Ri Ri Simmz. I'm here today to just show the young people how we validate good music, and to give you a bit of jokes and that, So yeah, my name is Ri Ri Simmz. You can capture me on Instagram. That's RIRISIMMZ. I repeat, that's RIRISIMMZ. Ri Ri Simmz.
The most professional introduction we've had for a long time. Yeah. She knows her social media shit.
She's young, so she knows. She's younger than us old boys. So that was professional. I do have to say, very professional. Well, you know that we don't know about all of these alternative platforms.
Speak for yourself.
Just
Speak
old
for
people.
yourself, son.
Of course, Raymond. What platform do you know about, Ray? Do you talk about a new platform? You talk about a new platform.
Instagram as well.
Instagram.
I am rare_obsidian_earth on Instagram, right? So
and that's Ray. That's Ray with his top off. If anybody wants to know, he's doing beach shots and footing it out. He's footing it.
Yeah, but he can't talk though, can he? Really? He's got for every country he's been to, he's got some significant shot, like holding the world's smallest monkey, water rafting, like some nonsense to make himself seem like he's well travelled and educated. Tick, the girls like that have travelled, tick. I'm black, that's a bonus, tick. And I got some baby.
So he's got the selfie stick.
Yeah.
He's got a selfie stick on the white sand beach with some raft in the background as well, you know what I'm saying? Just say like, I've been out here as well. I don't know where the fuck I am, but I've been out here as well. But yeah.
There is
what you don't know,
lot of hate.
What you don't notice is, he photoshops the stick out so it looks like it's just him and like there's some sort of drone shot. Yeah, it's professionally done. If you ever want to know, that's Photoshop. That's some Photoshop shit. Yeah.
That's what I hate. I'll never tell you my secrets. And there was no Photoshop involved.
And then he tries to put his arm on his waist to be like, just casually relaxing and then taking a picture. Yeah.
So if you don't know everyone, that's my cousin over in London, and obviously likes to cuss.
No comments. Like not true.
All right.
Not true, man.
Fine. So we're here today.
I love visiting you and your family, man. It's hilarious.
Even on a Zoom call.
It's the best family visit ever.
No,
just
chill.
go there, sit back, and watch it happen.
Mm-mm.
Yeah, watch the action. It is basically there's a lot of action in my family. But right now we're not talking about that. So as the world is changing, they're pulling down statues. There's people arguing on social media about how they can improve Black lives around the planet. We are looking at music this week. So we're going to look at the social commentary that has actually come out of this Black Lives Matter movement. There's been some interesting songs, and we're just going to review a few of them and just have a brief discussion about some of the songs, what our impressions are about the new music that is actually coming out. For the first time in a long time, there's music with with social commentary. And when I say music with social commentary, I don't mean just the standard Kendrick Lamar, J. Cole. I mean artists that you would never have thought would have had anything to say about social issues. So that's an interesting thing. So let's see. We're going to see. We're going to start. Anybody else have anything else to say about this new music before we actually listen to some of it?
No, I'm just glad there's a bit of substance, you know. You know, it's not the everyday trap that we're hearing these days. You know, people are actually digging into their craft and thinking about, you know, what they're going to put out. It's not about following the trends. You know, it's actually about putting out some substance and music. So it's a nice thing to see, really.
Yeah.
So Ria, just on that at the moment, because what do you think about the publishers who publish the music now? Do you think they're going to pay attention to the shift in tone from just following what the current trend is to something that has more of a social conscience? Do you think that this may change the way that music is promoted?
I think so, but in hindsight, I still think, again, it's still a social trend, if that makes sense. So it's a case of that they're following what is the big hype at the moment. And for me, Black Lives Matter, I'm black. It's about me being able to have a voice. And at that precise moment, I think them as companies, they're kind of jumping on that bandwagon, if that makes sense. So I'm kind of, I want to see what the aftermath would be after this, when everything, if it does, which I hope it doesn't, I hope we continue, I hope we push, I hope we fight, I hope that it doesn't die down and then we're just back to whatever the next trend is.
Well, it's a trend, and it's a positive trend at least. That's what I can say. All I can say is that maybe it has opened up the eyes of a lot of these artists to a new way that they can express themselves, rather than just talking about trap house, how they got a Maybach, how they got a newer Maybach than the next man, and how they're running the streets and how they got a mansion. Maybe they can actually change the way that they actually even think about their music and what they can actually put in their music and what is now acceptable in terms of their own perception, if you get what I mean. Because they probably didn't even think that they could speak about any of these black issues in some of their music. Because, nobody would want to listen to it. Nobody wants to listen to that kind of thing. And of course, the labels are probably saying exactly the same thing. The radio ain't going to play socially conscious music. So you may as well just put out the trap. And maybe if you can kill a few brothers on the way, put a few of those lyrics, maybe denigrate some women, females in your tracks, then that'll be fine. We're all good with that.
I also kind of think that from a perspective of that, if you think about the mainstream and who are buying the music, it's the majority are white, young, teenage kids that are buying this music, right? So it's a case of now that you're talking about a topic where people are a little bit iffy, a little bit sketchy, a little bit scared to talk about, you know, it's a case of, do I want to offend or do I want to make money? And it's that's the happy medium I think artists are going through. And I think they just got to be true to themselves, because if you've made the money that you need, think about your craft, why you really came into the music industry, really. Well, I'm hoping that would be the case anyway.
Yeah.
Just in what you're saying there, in that you're saying that a lot of the people who are buying the music are not necessarily people of color. But who do you think influences the most in terms of the subject matter? Who do you think influences the most? Do you think it influences those other people who buy the music, or do you think it influences people of color more?
I mean, it influences...
In terms of the content.
I think in terms of the content, if you live that life, if that makes sense, so whatever's been rapped about, if you live that life, someone raps about the trap, making money, selling drugs, and you know about your life, there's something that you can empathize with, it's something that you understand. But if it's something that you don't live and you listen to that music, I think it's a type of a fantasy. It's like a getaway within the music. You listen to something you don't live and it hypes you up because you're in it for the moment. But for me, I think it represents and it speaks to more of people who are in that type of lifestyle. So people of color, I think it speaks to more because you're a product of your environment. And if that was that person talking about, then it's going to speak to you more. Whereas if you're not in that environment, you're just liking it because you're hearing things that you've never seen, you've never heard, and it's something new. It's a fantasy to you. So definitely speaks more to the people of color if you live that lifestyle for sure.
Right.
In terms of a fantasy, it's a fantasy that is propagated all across the globe. So that's the mad thing about this fantasy. And then people in different parts of the world then only see people of color through that crazy small lens that you hear.
That small lens.
It's mad because we travel, we're everywhere. So I've traveled to all of these places. So, and then when people speak to you, they like speak to you as if they are speaking to someone from the world of hip hop.
Yeah.
You're like, I'm from London. I'm from London, firstly. So I'm not from the US. And that's not my existence. That's not the way I live. And that's not me. But that's who they see you as. So it's mad. It propagates this image all across the globe. It's not a joke. It really isn't.
It sure isn't. It sure isn't. So, in saying that, for the music itself, how and the situation, because let's be honest, a lot of what's happening is due to a particular situation. So how much do you think we have got the momentum to keep this positive thing going in terms of who we are, so that people understand that we're not just that narrow thing that they see, and we are a broader thing, and we want more than just what you think we should have? Because let's be honest, we've done a lot for this world and we've got very little from it.
I think the movement can keep moving. The only problem is for me is that at my age, I never lived through what my grandparents went through, what my mother went through. And I know that they probably had public figures that were leaders. So, for example, the Black Panthers, the Nation of Islam, I don't see that unity as much. So I don't have a leader to represent, to move to make me say, okay, this is who I'm going to follow. I don't find that I have that influence. There might be people out there that I don't personally know that has a strong effect on the media, but I don't have personally any brothers and sisters to me that I see that are strong enough to keep the movement going. Now, this may be a case now that all of this protests are taking place, that the movement becomes bigger, and then it becomes the next generation, the new generation of Islam, where we get younger, stronger Black leaders who are now leading the movement. But I think we need to find our strong figures in order for this movement not to just be a momentary moment, for something to be everlasting, for there to be change within the laws, for there to be change in people of non-coloured thinking, in order for them to want to educate themselves without me having to explain to them why I don't like this or I don't like that, or why your perspective of a Black person is completely oblivious and completely wrong. I think we need strong Black leaders of this generation.
So saying that you say that you haven't seen any strong Black leaders, why do you think that we have not, or you have not we, because I'm a slightly different generation to you, but why do you think that you have not seen
not slightly
any
Right. The shade is dark, man.
Yeah.
The shade is just
It's like the man just drew the curtain. He just drew the blackout curtains over the window, right? And the whole room went dark. Anyway.
That was harsh.
That was harsh, wasn't it? Right. So, in your opinion, getting back to the point, why do you think we haven't seen, or you haven't seen, I should stop saying we, why do you think you haven't seen any strong leaders within our community for so long? Do you understand what I'm trying to say? I know
I just think it's the idolization behind the perspective of what young people see and what they want. Nobody wants to work hard for things. We just want it like that. We follow social media and we see all these influencers and they've got the nice house and they're getting sent free stuff. And I think people idolize that and they say, this is what I want. So when you go on YouTube, when you go on Instagram, when you go on all those social media platforms, I think that's what's idolized more. Until this movement came along, if you now go onto those social media platforms, it doesn't take you to scroll up to the third post and you'll see something regarding Black Lives Matters, regarding police brutality. And I think we've been too quiet on the important situations, and we've lived in a fairy tale of that. In order for us to succeed, we have to go down certain routes, and it's only shown, like you said, the rappers with the big house, the big cars, the mansions, the money, that has to be seen to be flossing in the videos.
The consumerism side of it.
That's it. The models, they've got to look and be a certain type of way. Yeah. But actually, I think like the only person that I really do see is Shaka Bars. He talks about police brutality. He goes to different countries within Africa, and he shows you, Africa's not what we see on the TV. Pay £3 a month to donate to feed a child. Africa is a beautiful country, but it's just about the resources being put into the country, which is not given from the people. And he's out there as a leader. I see him doing things, and he's bringing in some music artists like Stefflon Don, and they'll put money together and they're trying to build a school in Ghana. And I think those are the things that I would personally like to see more on social media. At the moment, if I flick through on my gram, and I don't know if it's about, who I follow, I don't believe it is, but every other sponsor, it'll be a song, clothes. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? And it's things of like, it's not substance. It's things you can spend at looking for hours and not got any type of information about it, which is going to educate you. It's just consumer overload of nonsense.
But these are societies now. Societies have gone down a very consumer-driven road. This is the way that we've been led. This is how the younger generation has definitely been led in that way. Not us, we're the older generation. We've got substance.
Oh wow! I mean, I'm not trying to disclose my age, but I do think, for me, at my age of 32, it's a case of.
You don't want to disclose your age.
No, I know.
But at my age, from my age of 32.
Do I have to edit that? Do I have to edit it out?
No, listen, this is what it is, right, guys?
For statements that are crazy.
Excuse me, I don't know why they're mocking. I don't know why I'm mocking. Listen.
I don't want to disclose my age of 32.
What I meant to say was, right, is that I think there's stop laughing. Listen. There's a marginalized gap. Listen, this is why I disclosed the age. This is I know why the thought process came. There's a marginalized gap between the age of, I'd say, 30 to the age of 24, right? That gap I see is that generation is about the designer. They're about the going out. They're about the popping the bottles. They're about having the nice car on finance and you ain't got a house. And they're about the followers. I think for my
Ri, I'm not gonna lie to you. That was exactly our generation as well. That was it.
Okay.
Look, when I was younger, it was exactly the same thing. It was about popping bottles. It was Moschino. It was people going out to these glamour raves, popping bottles. Get in the car. Not even finance, maybe.
If it's a birthday, dousing someone in the champers and
with the champers, with the Courvoisier and the champers. And it was our generation as well. It's not.
But I think.
Okay, go on.
I think for my generation, the most when it came to massive designers, it wouldn't have been massively in the. I lied to you, massively in the 100 range. I think the biggest thing that I probably ever bought was an Average jacket, and I thought I was heavy. Do you know what I mean? I saved up that £500. I bought it, but I was never a person of like, I've got to have the Versace, I've got to have the iceberg.
That may be.
Do you know what I mean? I don't personally. I didn't really think my generation was about that.
That may be you, but our generation was. Remember the Moschino song by Glamour Kid. As a boss Moschino, whenever I love myself, everybody in this. When they come to my house in their name brand clothes, they want the long water hose.
I didn't feel like it was.
How much do you think that you're killing me today, Ken? How much do you think that the generation before you have helped to impart any knowledge?
That's us, isn't it?
How much do you
us,
think?
Is that for me?
Obviously, I've got to frame it in a way that I'm not talking about what us. I'm just talking about it, just in general. Your perception of the generation ahead of you. Like, how much do you think they've given you?
In terms of technology, I think this generation are blowing the roof off. They're taking things to a new limit with when it comes to ideas of apps, ideas of technologies, ideas of visual substance. I think they're mind blowing, and in that sense, it's genius. I think it's easier now to make a name for yourself with all these platforms by doing something stupid and going viral, or even making an app that everyone's onto and go viral. But I just think if it's not that, I just don't find anything else. I think they do show you avenues of making money, but in the sense of social media platforms.
But Ray was talking about what about us
in terms of consciousness? In terms of consciousness, like, look, listen. All right, let's just clear it in this sense. All right, what's happening now is no different to what was happening back then. So what I'm trying to say to you is, how much have the previous generation, or even half generation ahead of you, given you information to help inform your judgment of what's going on now? Do you understand what I mean?
Yeah, I know what you mean. I mean, visually, it's now becoming more out there, and I think the reason being is because the substance is being caught on video.
Okay.
Whereas before,
what Ray's saying, I'm going to clarify this for you, Ray.
Yeah, I think I'm missing it.
Yeah, you're definitely missing it. He's talking about, like my generation, how did we actually or maybe we didn't help you? How did we help you or cultivate some of your political views, if
your
at all?
Understanding of the world.
Did we even help? What was our generation even helpful for your generation? Did we give you any knowledge about social issues? Did we help you understand the world in a better way? Did we even help? That's all I'm saying.
In all honesty, I think not, in a sense, and I don't want to sound negative.
No, it's true.
But I don't feel like your generation had an impact on me at all. In the sense of, if we looked past your generation and I look towards my mother's generation, I think they come from a generation of struggle, but didn't quite make it work as much as they should have. And then if I look at my granny and granddad's generation, they came from struggle, but they worked hard. And I think this is where the gaps are being missed. Is like, my mum's generation is a generation of, they were nothing but police brutality, went through so much struggle. And then if you look at kind of some of the men these days, you may see them at betting shops, or you may see some with their houses. There's a kind of like, you either went one way or another way. But I feel like with your generation, for me, it's like, yeah, hip hop was good. The music was good. The music might have been conscious, but I don't think it delivered enough to stay around. And that's the truth. I think after people like Tupac disappeared, I felt like we kind of went through a new wave, and then everything was just about, let's keep it popping, let's keep it party tracks. And then everyone just kept moving from there. I don't think there was no substance. There was nothing that could bring any type of substance to my life really after that. So regarding your generation, Kenny, nah, not enough for me, man.
Oh,
not enough.
All right.
Not enough.
So Ken, can I just say, like, when we're doing a post production, where she keeps mentioning generation, your generation, can we sort of like bleep that out a little bit?
Yeah.
Like, we got to try and make sure that we're sort of like around that same, same sort of like that age, if you understand.
Yeah.
We're still in there.
I looked
No,
after
yeah,
this kid, and
I
she's
mean,
cussing us.
well, there you go. I just
She's
mean,
cussing us.
I appreciate that,
I
but it's
looked after
just,
this kid. She's cussing me.
there's just
And
not,
she's
there's just not
pressing me.
enough.
How was it? I looked after this kid.
All right, so
Yeah, we had less struggle. I'm going to say we had less struggle, definitely. We had less struggle.
No,
We didn't do as much.
no.
And
Wait.
we should have been better. God damn it.
Right.
I believe so.
So listen, I'm gonna obviously I'm gonna try and put it out there without being shut down by my co-host who always wants to shut me down.
I don't want to shut you down.
Now these struggles have.
I don't want to shut you down. Sorry, Ray. Sorry. Fuck, I'm just messing with you, innit? Yeah, just fucking with me. All right, Ray. Sorry.
These struggles.
You had something deep to say.
Oh, for fuck's sake!
Wow. These two grown men are actually crying.
Yeah, Ri. Oh, please, look, listen. This is a normal fucking session for us, right? I've got to deal with your cousin on a regular basis now. You understand what I'm saying? So, like, forgive me. Anyway, look, listen. These struggles have always been here, and I think part of the problem is that for ourselves, for me and Kenny's sort of like half generation.
Yeah. It's about that.
Their generation, half generation. Anyway, from me and Kenny's time, basically what is that for me, when I look at it, is that we seem to have forgotten where we had come from in terms of like how the struggle was, how when you were, well, definitely for when I was walking around places like Hackney and that you had the SPG vans following you, trying to sort of like really get you to do something silly, like you run, they're gonna try. Where people were routinely getting dragged and taken into Hackney, Stokey police station, whatever, for a nice sound conversation with the old Bill's boot. You understand, where people were getting done for murder and they haven't done anything, but it gets another youth off of the road. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Where when you're going up to Trafalgar Square to sort of like enjoy yourself on New Year's Eve, the police are calling you Mr. N-word to see if they could get a reaction from you. Do you understand what I mean?
Yeah.
So it was literally like, so we've got a few things, so now we don't need to worry about that so much anymore. But this has always been here.
Of course.
This has always been here. And I think what's happened is because this never stopped. But what's happened is because of this thing that has been publicized. It's been publicized once, been publicized twice. And we used to say, listen, we get this hassle.
Yeah.
We get this hassle. And people would say, are you sure you really get this hassle? Yeah, we get this hassle. And more recently, it's people from Asian diaspora who have had to start getting this issue of like people stopping them and hassling them to try and find out like what you got on you. And it's like, well, I ain't got nothing on me, but they're still getting hassled. They're still being checked.
These are
and
cycles.
Only now.
Cycles.
Yeah, and it's
I think it's a cycle.
This high publicity, because before we didn't have the camera phones. We didn't have those cameras to sort of like show that this is actually happening.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
Okay, good.
Everyone remembers from the Rodney King thing, and people showed it, and nothing happened.
Yeah.
And something else happened. Nothing happened. And this happened. Nothing happened. And I'll tell you, the only time they really understand that something's happened is when all hell breaks loose. And we've got to try and stop this cycle of you're only going to listen when all hell breaks loose. Yeah. And it's not just them, it's us as well, where we've got to keep that pressure up. And excuse the analogy, but we've got to keep our knee on their neck so that they understand that we want something. Do you understand what I mean?
Well said. Well said. We all know.
Definitely.
Well said. Whew, that was long. But
wow. The shade.
Every week, Ray goes on one long diatribe.
Every week, yeah.
He goes on one long diatribe.
You know what? Next week, we got to got to get a nice light-hearted sort of
That
like
is
conversation
really,
going,
wow.
because I'm not in the mood for this. Every single week, this is me and Kenny. Me and Kenny are gonna go, and he's gonna say this is getting cut out. This is gonna get getting cut out, and he puts it in a clip.
Was it? Are you seeing the time, Ken?
Yeah, I know. I think it's a comedy episode now. Every time Ray goes on one of these long rant, like not a rant, I'm not going to call it a rant because some of it there's decent information in some sections of what he says.
There's some decent information.
Even though you had to explain to me 5 times for me to get it, and Kenny was like, "Right, let me simplify it for you, dummy. Listen, dumbass. This is this." Oh,
you're real dotish, you know.
Hey, oh God, she done see.
Oh God,
the child.
The girl stupid.
Watch now.
Girl.
I explained to the girl 3 times now.
all right.
Oh God.
Explain. Me tell her twice, 3 times. Stupid. It's stupid.
Oh, God.
Just like an uncle. You know, uncle in the now.
And you know when the parents used to cuss you as well. What? You're stupid.
All the
like,
time,
start
innit?
crying. You start crying. you're like, just,
I didn't understand.
I'll give you something to cry about. You're stupid.
Sorry to leave you on a cliffhanger, but this was part 1 of 2. I'll call that a duology. Not quite Lord of the Rings, but almost as epic. See you in the next episode, part 2. See you there.